Imagine shooting someone through what I would call negligence and getting away with it. Now, it's an act the police often get away with. And have yet again, although when they get away with killing members of the public, it's of no surprise that in the case where the person didn't die, they would also get away with it. In fact, I have a t-shirt that depicts that very scenario on my Spreadshirt store. Go and check it out. A West Mercia Police firearms unit officer accidentally discharged his gun into the leg of Aaron Humphries. Now, Aaron Humphries was said to have had an imitation submachine gun at the time in Ronkswood Hill in Worcester at around 9 AM on October the 2nd. The nature of the reason that he had an imitation firearm is not the debate of this video, so I'm not going to go into that, but he was shot by a firearms officer accidentally discharging his weapon. The IOPC were tasked to investigate the shooting, who determined the discharge was accidental. However, the IOPC found that the firearms officer did have a case to answer for misconduct. In typical police style, though, West Mercia Police decided through its own review that the IOPC was wrong and there was in fact no case to answer because the discharge was accidental. Now, I was under the impression and confirmed with a former military personnel that a firearm, whatever it is, be it a lethal firearm or a less lethal firearm, and I won't say non-lethal because they can all be lethal, is the entire and sole responsibility of the operator. That means that if you are in control of said weapon, then you are fully responsible for its actions, especially as a firearm can't kill on its own. It needs the operator of the weapon to have some kind of interaction with it for it to go off, whether it be accidentally or on purpose. I believe it would also be called a negligent discharge rather than an accidental. For exactly the same reason, the police no longer use the word accident when defining a road traffic collision, because somebody must have been at fault as the operator of the vehicle. But no, West Mercia Police have decided against the decision of the IOPC to not even look at a misconduct for the firearms officer for what can only be described as incompetence. Even I know you don't point a weapon at someone unless you're going to kill them or unless you want to kill them, and you don't hold the trigger unless you're about to shoot them. An IOPC spokesperson said, "At the end of our investigation, we concluded the officer who fired the weapon had a case to answer for misconduct for the unintentional discharge of their firearm. Misconduct proceedings are a matter for West Mercia Police. We will look to publish an investigation summary in due course." Deputy Chief Constable Julian Moss of West Mercia Police said, "The Independent Office for Police Conduct inquiries found that we needed to consider whether the officer's actions amounted to misconduct. As such, a misconduct meeting was held. The meeting fully reviewed all of the evidence and it was determined that there was no case to answer. The firearm was accidentally discharged. We stand by this finding and are satisfied that due process has been followed." It must be nice being able to investigate and conclude against yourself. There's not many professions out there where you'd be able to do that and get away with it, but I suppose the police have been doing it and been getting away with it for so long that people simply see it as a normal process now, when in fact it's far from normal. Now again, I'm not condoning the fact that the guy had an imitation firearm, but how the fuck can someone who's been given the responsibility of being armed, been through rigorous training, which would include how not to shoot somebody accidentally, and then discharge the weapon accidentally? I'm sure there's some of you out there who have had experience with firearms and firearms training. I'm not one of those people, so this is an opinion based on what I know. If you have a different opinion, then please do let me know in the comments. But I do know that even an accidental discharge, which is classed as a negligent discharge in the armed forces, would probably see you with at least a few weeks in Chelmsford, or wherever it is they put you, and it would go on your record. So how a copper can get away with something that the armed forces wouldn't is beyond me. Well, it's not. We know why they get away with it, but you know what I mean.